Welcome back, YouTube viewers. Today, in this video, we're going to take apart that spooling motor. Unfortunately, my friend was not able to make it out here, but after a lot of discussion with him on the phone, I totally understand what's going on in the motor and how to take it apart. So, let's take a look at this. My videos are not that great. I did miss a few things here and there, but for the most part, let's take a look from the start on removing the motor and disassembling it. Here we go. The first step is to remove this NAB hub adapter, and we first go with access the 4 screws through those 4 holes you see there. My videos have screwed up. I didn't know when to start when I was filming, when I'm not. So please ignore some missing bits that you're going to see here. And but anyway, what we do is we loosen these 4 screws up, and that little piece there, that little clamp part comes out. This is what's below there once I've removed that hub, top part of the hub. Now the entire hub, which expands on the reel, all right? And you can see it right there. That's the side view of it right there. That's it right there. That's just going to lift right out. Those 4 screws were retaining it from the top. So we'll just pick this thing right up here and lift this right out of here. There's actually separate pieces to this, but we're going to pull it out in one complete motion like that. Now, this is the what's called a hub adapter, I believe. And there's 4 screws here, again. These 4 screws will fasten it down to the brake drum, which is below it. So I'm going to crack loose these screws here because they're pretty tight. So we can actually take this adapter off and then access the brake drum, which is actually below this point like that. So there we go. We've loosened the screws, and now we'll remove them out. Now these screws are going to also have a star washer on them. So, I'm going to try to not lose the star washer. Sometimes I think I left that one in there. But anyway, I'm going to get them out. I don't want to drop the star washers down anywhere. Oh, one went flying. I don't know if you saw that, but I get it later. That one did go flying someplace. So here we go. This is number 3 screw. All right. We'll see if we can get this one off with the star washer. There we go. We did that one with the star washer. And we got one more to go. Okay. That other washer I will catch. It's just one underneath this. And once I get in there, you could see we'll be able to, I'll be able to find it at that point. So anyway, here's the last screw, and then this whole adapter lifts right out of there. Okay, I'm trying to retain a screw. And that is the brake drum right there. Okay, the brake drum is held on with 1 screw in the center and some fancy looking spring washers underneath that metal disc that you're seeing right there, and that aluminum disc that's right down in the center. So I'll take the 1 screw out. I'm going to remove the disc, but unfortunately it didn't get on film. And next thing you're going to know is the brake drum is going to be gone. Because I screwed up the camera again on this. So, the brake band goes around there. There you go. So the drum is out. You could see the band now. The brake band goes around there. And I can get away with, if I take this thing out, which I don't know what it's called, but it basically stops the brake band from going any farther. And it's just held on with 2 screws. There's no fancy adjustment involved in it. So this is really a easy access, because one of the screws for the motor is underneath that plate right there. So by removing this thing, okay, I'll have access to that one screw that I can't see right now. And here, let's lift this out of the way. And there you go. You can see that screw down there below that, okay? So there's 3 screws down there that are actually fastening the motor to the top deck. All right, and by removing that plate there, I now have access to the one screw that I couldn't reach. So the next step here is to actually check or actually set up where the motor is going to go when I loosen these screws. Okay, so I'm going to get this piece of foam that you see sitting there. I'm going to open this deck up. All right, and we're going to put the foam in there to catch anything and basically to catch the motor. So here we do the release, and we're going to lift the deck up now and pull that heavy deck way back up. Okay, and so what I want to do now is put this piece of foam in here to catch anything that drops down in there. Okay, like the screws or anything through those holes. But one of the things I want to do before I get that, I want to take a look at how this motor plugs in. So I'm checking it, and it really comes around and plugs in pretty simple, but there is a tie wrap holding, that I tie wrapped up, holding that cable out of the way. So the first thing we'll do is, before we do that, we'll put this piece of foam in, and now I'm going to get another piece of foam and stick it up underneath here. So what I want to do is I'm going to fold this down, and the motor is going to land on that piece of foam there. Okay, so I'm going to close the deck back down. And you see with all this foam, the deck doesn't shut and latch real tight. It actually comes down like that. So that motor's sitting on there now. Now, we're going to come in here, and what we're going to do is loosen those 3 screws that are down below the deck. You can't see them in this thing here. They're down pretty far. And of course, I did I wasn't paying attention to where the camera was, so you're going to get a good shot of my arm in the way all the time here. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to loosen these 3 screws that are down there. We saw them before. And once I get them all loose, I'm going to take the screws out one at a time. And the motor will then sit, hopefully, if I've done everything right, on that gray piece of foam, on the white foam down underneath there. All right? Now, these screws are way down low, okay? So once I've got them loose and everything, you'll see I'm going to come in here with a magnet when you can see past my arm. I will come in with a magnet and pull the screws out one at a time so they don't they fall down in there. Yeah, I really apologize for the bad camera angle here, but I do all this live, and I don't go back. It's done. It's history. That's it. So there you go. That's the magnet. See it? I've pulled the screw out using the magnet to get one of them out. We got to do that to the other 2 yet before that motor is ready to drop down in there. Okay, so I'm going to come back. Backed up a little bit, but I'll get my arm in the way again, of course, because I'm just not paying attention to the camera angles. But yeah, that's what it is. It's only 3 screws. 3 screws holding this motor to the deck. Again, using the magnet there. I'm going to magnetize the end of the driver to help me pull out the screw. And it will go down in there and actually pull it out with the magnets. Like that. And that screws out of the way. Now we got one more to do. And hopefully, like I said, if this is all done right, that motor shouldn't really go anywhere because it should be sitting on that piece of gray foam on top of the white foam. Okay, and I'll go down, pull that last screw out, hopefully. Right here. Come on. And it's there. I got to just get it out. Okay, so there you go. You see that? Now the motor's loose. It's loose. It's not fastened anymore. You can see me moving it. It is sitting on that gray foam. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to come back around, lift the deck again, and the deck will come up and the motor will stay. Let's see if we can do this. Once I get out of the way, pardon that again, and there you go. The motor is sitting there on the gray piece of foam, okay? So worked beautifully, just like I expected to do. Now the motor is plugged in with two things. There's a ribbon cable which is already unplugged, and there's the main power for the motor, which is going through the back there and plugs in the center section a little bit. But I got to cut that one tie wrap off there. There's a tie wrap that is holding that cable in there. And so I'm going to cut the tie wrap right here, and then I'll be able to reach in there and unplug it. It's only 2 wires, okay? It's an AC motor. It's only 2 wires. Plug it in on one connector. It's real simple. Just disconnect that, and boom, that's it. That motor's disconnected now. So there it is, sitting there, ready to go to the bench. Now, here we are on the bench, and the first thing is there's some spacers there. Those spacers are critical because they set the height of the reel, and which is setting the height of the tape as it goes around and everything. So I want to remove them and make sure I keep them because I need to put them back to get the correct height on this reel like that, or I'll have to come up with more spacers. Now I'm going to take off the tacho board and the motor tacho board, and this I've been doing inside the machine, but boy, this is a lot easier to do like this because the screws are really easy to access them like that. Now, one thing to notice on this is the motor tacho board in the center. You can see right there, there's 4 little pins sticking out. Okay, there's really 8. Those are the solder connections of the optical encoder, okay? And the optical encoder thing is inside there. You can't see it. It's black, okay? And it goes inside there, and it's around the optical disc. So you're going to see now as I take this out, here it comes, and there it is. That's the encoder right there. You see the slot between it real quickly. And let's tip this over, and there, look, you can see the optical disc. Okay, so this is what spins around between that optical encoder and sets out the speeds and everything like that. Those little silver things you see in there are screws on the clutch, the top and bottom clutches. And so what we're going to do now, what I couldn't do before, okay, is we're going to take these 4 screws off so that we can separate this top part of the motor, which has the optical encoder and everything in it, from the bottom, which is the actual motor. Now, I did this once before, and I couldn't go any farther than this. I could not figure out how that part came apart. But after a lot of discussion with my friend, we figured out exactly what goes on, and I'll explain to you all of these parts once I get this open here. But there's really no trick to this after these 4 screws are out. So what's really causing the problem here is rust and stuff. Is just kind of holding the thing together. But it's going to come apart easy enough because I know now how to actually get it apart. I know there's no trick screws or anything like that that's holding it in there. So here you'll see after I take the last screw out, okay, what I'm going to try to do is try to pick this up away from the motor itself. Okay, see I'm trying that now, trying to pry it up a little bit, and there's a slight little crack around that edge. Okay, unfortunately, I forgot to hit record. and I've already got this disassembled, but I'm gonna walk you through basically what goes on in here. Let me just get something here to prop this for a second here. So as you saw, I took off these 4 screws right here, okay, and I was trying to wiggle this up. I did get a little bit of a crack right here. I could see it's starting to come up, and by taking something like this little angle thing here, I was able to pull it in here, work my way around it, and boom, lift it right out of here. Okay, so what we're left with though, this is the motor down here, all right? And this is the bottom clutch assembly that is screwed to the motor shaft itself. Okay, so you can see I'm turning the motor shaft right here. That's the motor shaft in the center. And this thing here is the clutch assembly. And it's got a screw here that fastens it tight to this. Now, there's 2 pins that stick up here. And in these holes, which I've pulled out, there's rubber O-rings that go in these holes here. And on the upper part that I just pulled off here, there's the identical clutch assembly, like that. And should be the rubber O-rings go in there. So this clutch assembly, all right, is fastened to this shaft, okay? So this shaft will go through here like this, goes up, and it will come up through here, and that's what our hub sits on top of here, okay? So this shaft assembly goes into this clutch, and this clutch, okay, goes down into this clutch. And the only thing that holds the 2 together are those pins going into, okay, into the rubber O-rings. So they fasten the 2 together. So you can see right now it'll wobble, okay? That's because there's no O-rings in there. But these 2 things will fit in there together. And the idea here is that the top shaft, okay, which again, I didn't show you here, the optical disc is screwed to there. You can see this one here has got 2 little screw threads here. And the optical disc is screwed to here, okay? So the optical disc spins with the top part with the reel, and the bottom is the motor spinning like that. And the reason they obviously do that with the rubber is to isolate from the motor vibrations to the reel itself. So the reel doesn't get any vibration because it's really rubber mounted between the 2 things like that. That makes sense? Again, you remember that what's going on here is there's rubber O-rings. There's actually 2 rubber O-rings down in each one, 2 rubber O-rings here. So when this pushes down, okay, the rubber O-rings are what's actually touching this. So these pins are never touching the metal here. They're touching the rubber. So it's really rubber drive. And if you want to look at it that way, it's actually doing this. All right, now, what's going on though, all right, so I pull this out and I get to the shaft, and in here, okay, in here is a set of bearings. There's a C-clip, which is now out, and there's a C-clip right down in here. Let me see if I get something to point to this. The C-clip fits down in this little ring right around here, okay, and on the top, same thing. C-clip fits down in here. And what fits down in there then is bearings. Set of bearings drop down in here, touch the C-clip. Set of bearings fit down in there, touch the C-clip. So what I did find out though is this bearing that was sitting on the bottom, because here's another thing that was going on, is these pins that were going through here were rusted real badly, and they were kind of binding to the rubber. There was so much rust and stuff in there, they were binding to the rubber. So I wasn't getting that rubber sort of insulation that should be going on. It was kind of touching it in a way like that. And the lower bearing, which this is it, if I put this up to my ear and spin this, I can hear this thing grinding away. It feels a little smooth, but you could hear, and you're not going to hear it on the camera, but you could actually hear the noise of the rust inside this bearing making that. So this bearing is bad. And the combination of this bearing and the rust going on here on these pins was obviously causing this problem. So I got new bearings on order. I have new rubber O-rings on order, and we'll be able to put this all back together, and hopefully that will cure our problem at that point. So that's how this thing works. Well, I told you we're going to get it apart, and we did. Yes, that bearing is pretty bad. I'm sure the combination of that bearing and the rust between those pins and the O-rings was causing all this issue that was going on. I'm sure when I pulled it apart, I remember hearing a noise in it before, and I obviously moved some things around, rust, whatever like that. And then it started doing this problem like that. So I'm absolutely positive this is going to fix the problem. And, but, you know, we got to the bottom of it. So now I'm just waiting for the bearings to arrive, new rubber O-rings to arrive, and I'm going to put this all back together. So in the next video, we'll actually put this motor back together. I'll show you it all going back together and back into the unit. And hopefully everything's going to run beautifully at that point. All right? So thank you again for watching. So please, if you haven't subscribed, please subscribe to the channel. Thumbs up if you enjoyed the video. Click on the bell, and I'll notify you when that next one actually comes out. Take care, and I'll see you then.